I put my yeah. Uh, well, it is a thirsty Thursday. Dad knows all the answer. I swear to God, my kids always thought I had all the answers. They'd always, well, they could only speak to me on Saturdays when I was back in the state. Yeah, they would all gather around in my ham radio, and they had questions. They they wanted to know if they could go ice skating or if they could go. Oh, there were so many. It was something I always looked forward to, solving their problems. Well, we have one person in there, but I went over and watched Sick this morning. I'm not sick, but Motorbob of his coffee show. And I saw OC. Well, I see that one person. I go, oh, hell no. I ain't going to be in there with that one Obi Kenobi. I am your father. I am one Obi Kenobi. You don't be afraid. It's going to be all right. I'll walk you through it. You you'll get through this all right. We are going through a cold period of time here in the southeastern United States. Alabama, um, it has magical moments. You can be at 75 degrees riding your Harley in a t-shirt, and then it can be 35 degrees and sitting around by the fireplace. Do you think living as close to the Gulf that we would have just real stable tropical like weather? You can look this up for yourself. It was colder here yesterday morning than it was in Seattle, Washington. Seattle's above the 46th parallel. That's pretty far north. And yet we had snow in New Orleans, and they don't have any snow in Seattle. How about that? I did go check. I didn't see anybody else that had a show going. I went over and Motorbomb was having his coffee chat, getting ready to go to work. But unfortunately, when I got over there, they had already left. I didn't realize this. And there was no place to make a comment. I looked down and they was gone already. I thought they started at 9:30, but they must be 9:30 East Coast time. Let me see. Somebody just come in. Flip Elliott. Well, thank you very much. And good morning to you. I watched a show yesterday on YouTube about the phalanx system that they have on, for security on the aircraft carrier. And I was on a board, the USS Nimitz, CVN 68, and we tested out a new gun. You can see it's as big as my hand. We tested out a new gun that had 7 barrels, and they fired 30 millimeter. This is 30 millimeter. This is not. This is 30 millimeter. A lot of people think it's a 50 cal, but to give you a comparison, what 50 cal versus 30 millimeters looks like. There's no comparison. 50 cal is ½ inch in diameter. This is 30 millimeter in diameter. And we were, good morning, quick shoe six. We were testing this new gun out, and we went, I'll tell you where we did it. We went 175 miles straight west of San Diego. We have a firing range out there, and they sent the A6 Intruder. This was in 1996, not 95. They sent the A6 Intruder up, pulling a banner behind 400 feet. The banner was behind the A6 Intruder. And the old, they call it the RTD2 on the aircraft carrier Nimitz. It's a big cubicle, big round dome like RTD2. And when it began to get a signal, it picked up from the 09 deck on the carrier up there, all your radar and all that stuff. This barrel started to rotate. And then all of a sudden the door slid back like this, and out comes this huge erection. 7 barrels sticking out there about 15 feet. And that thing moved back and forth, and it locked on. It went, bah, bah, bah. It shot 3 bursts of 400 rounds of these. 3 bursts at 400 rounds. They put 400 rounds out the barrel 3 times. And it was so good that the laser beam on the guidance system locked in on the cable on about the 4th round and shot the cable in 2, right behind the tail of the A6 Intruder, just right where it hooks onto the banner. And the banner fluttered like this, and this thing locked onto that fluttering banner and just shredded it. I mean, it shredded that banner. It was a sight to behold. It was a Gatling gun style, phalanx, spelled with a P. It was a rapid firing, and it had a big tub skid down there about 12 by 12 tub skid, and all the brass went into that tub skid. Sounded like an A10 Warthog. A10, they got a 40 millimeter gun on that, but they also shoot a 30, but the 40 millimeter has the big sabot rounds. They got the rounds are big explosive sabot rounds. Now the stuff we're shooting only had a small sabot round, 30 millimeter sabot, which had a little stinger out here of depleted uranium. Out here about right in this area here was depleted uranium, and it was awesome. But here's what happened: the company I worked for developed a gun, and then the company that that did the electronics was Raytheon. Hey, Salted Badger. Good morning, man. I've seen you a couple of times, but I couldn't get on. I tried to. I couldn't get. I didn't have a signal, but I could see you was on, and I went over and turned my phone on. Was gonna try to get on the phone, but my signal was really poor on the phone. I could had enough of signal on the phone here to do a telephone call with, but I couldn't go live, or couldn't. Yeah, it was a mess. Today, I don't know how long we're going to last. Oh, you know what that's like, Salty. You can't control that. There are some people that's blessed that lives in a world where they have everything at their fingertips. I just don't happen to have that. I don't have that. So And I'm not going to whine. I'm not going to spend nobody. I ain't going to waste nobody's time about whining because it's a way of life for me. And there's no reason for you have to wear that pain and misery. Listen to my whining and complaining. And I ain't going to do that. Got up yesterday morning. Now, it was 10 degrees when I took the picture. I took a picture of the weather, accurate weather that I get here. But my buddy Joe, he recorded 8 degrees, but he took the picture around 6 o'clock in the morning. So I got to say, safely saying we probably had 8-degree weather here. Now, on the 25th of December last year, right here at my home, we had no electricity for 4 days. None, no, zero, no electricity. I had temperatures here at 8 degrees, and we loaded a Harley up on my trailer, and we shag-assed down to Clearwater, Florida, down to Port Richey. And that afternoon, I took my sister for a ride on the Harley out to the Gulf. And the next day, Angelique and I, we went to Honeymoon Island, and we went to Clearwater, down to all of St. Pete, all down in that area. We just rode. We put 300 miles on of riding and didn't go anywhere. And that we left here because the weather was 25 degrees. There we go. I can't get my hoodie to stay upright. And here it is again, a year later. It was 8 degrees when we left last year on the 25th of January. And here it is January the 23rd, and it's back down low temperatures again. I saw a funny thing on YouTube yesterday. There's a show I watch on YouTube. It's called Beyond the Press. And this couple are up in Finland, and hello, 2-4. Old Mack. Oh, Old Mack. No, oh, that's right. You don't do the O. You leave that up to me to do the O. So they left Finland and flew down to Miami, got themselves a rental car, and they was doing the beautiful touring of southern tip of Florida. And then they started heading out to go to, I guess, San Antonio, Texas, or somewhere over there. Well, unfortunately, when they got to Alabama, they didn't run into snow. When they got to New Orleans, they was in the worst snow they'd had in 75 years. There was snow all across the southeastern United States, and they left the frozen tundra of Finland and came down and rode into the frozen tundra of southeast United States. I felt sorry for them. No, they're used to the cold, but they made a lot of comments about they came down to get that warm vacation in southeastern United States and then get in hazardous driving conditions. They drove their rental car all the way out to Texas. It's called Beyond the Press is the name of their show. And I've been watching them what I like about the show is, Lake Charles. We used to have an operations in Lake Charles. When we built the B-2, we didn't build the B-2 bomber. Northrop built it, but the Boeing company did all the graphite composite. We built a fuselage and wings and all that stuff, and it was assembled in Palmdale, California. But we had an operation down at Lake Charles. Boeing has a big facility there at Lake Charles. When we did some missions with the B-2 bomber back during the war, they flew from Lake Charles, Louisiana. They have a base in Whiteman Air Force Base, but they did their armor up. They flew from Whiteman Air Force Base in Knob Noster, Missouri, down to Louisiana. I think it's Barksdale. They went down there in the Louisiana big air base and loaded their armament up and flew to the Middle East. Ain't that something, 240? We're talking about snow and ice and you up there with green grass showing, bare grass. I just talked to my sister, and she said no snow. Here we down here at my house, everything was covered. We was covered in snow, and up there it was 44 degrees and raining, and so it's been warmer in Seattle than it has been in New Orleans. It's been warmer in Seattle than it has been in Gainesville, Florida. Yesterday, when Sick woke up, his little nuts had swiveled up considerable in the cold, like all guys. And well, he was laying there like shivering, like a dog trying to poop peach seeds. He was up there. My sister's up there, nice and toasty up in Seattle. Such is life. Oh, I know. I've seen some cold temperatures. When we was like when you had to go to Minot, and remember I've told you this before. How you got to Minot is you had to screw up really, really bad to get sent to Minot. You was responsible for your actions, and if you did something bad, wrong, for punishment, they would send you to Minot, North Dakota. And you could see there, 40 below zero, and wind would be blowing from anywhere from 50 to 75 miles per hour. And little tiny pieces of ice would sting your face. Anywhere it hit, you could feel it penetrate your skin because your skin is so tight because it's so cold. Yeah, why not? Minot? That's right. And yeah, I mean, I know people that volunteered to go in our unit to Minot because they was born and raised. I volunteered to go to Knob Noster. Yeah, you guys don't even know where Knob Noster is. Knob Noster is the home of the B-2 bomber, Whiteman Air Force Base. And I volunteered to go to Knob Noster. When I went down, it was a Strategic Air Command base. I only worked in my period of time, nothing but SAC bases. If it was a SAC base, I was there. If you was a SAC base, you supported the Minuteman program. And if you wasn't supporting the Minuteman program, you supported a ground defense system to defend the Minuteman. In other words, we had Nikes and Zeus and all those little surface-to-air missile systems to protect the Minuteman system. Well, at Maelstrom, we had everything up there. I mean, that place was a fortress because up in Maelstrom, we designed a new system called, I won't tell you, because that'd be wrong, but it was a part of the National Defense System. And so they had to have a lot of stuff to protect it. When we got down to Knob Noster, you could drive all day long and not see a Nike base. But one time they sent us to a Nike site, and it was down there in Springfield, Missouri, down in that area, south of Whiteman Air Force Base. We had to go down and they changed out the guidance system on the Nike. They had a new, and that in that period of time, technology is changing every day. So about every 6 months, you had to upgrade your missile system because it was constantly improving the GPS and the accuracy of our missiles. And we had to go in with a bunch of U.S. Army Rangers, and we went in with the British commandos. They wore short pants, and it was a hot July. It was hot in July, and them Brits all had them little short pants on, and of course we all had BDUs on, and within 8 or 10 hours we was eat up with ticks everywhere. And we sat around the campfire. The Brits cooked us a soft shell turtle, a lake turtle, big turtle. And while we was all eating turtle, all of us was picking ticks off us. We were just loaded with them, and not a tick on a Brit. We asked the Brits, how the hell could you wade through this jungle here and not have any ticks? And they attributed it probably was to their diet, stuff that they eat. Because see, we was still full of barbecue sauce. It being Southern, we had a lot of barbecue sauce, and so that's what probably drew the ticks to us. Southern boys going to have some barbecue. Hey, did my signal go off? No, I still got a signal. I'm sorry, I was busy talking. It looks like I still got 4 people. How about that? 4 people in here and 4 thumbs up. Now that is pretty doggone nice. I went up last night about 11:30, somewhere. Yeah, it was after 11, I think it was. I went up and spoke with Dave. Dave had his crew in there, and I had a lot of folks. And he had one of those ignorant people that shows up on your side occasionally, and he was talking nasty, and I couldn't get on. I was having a hard time getting on. And finally, I got enough of signal. I was able to get on because I wanted to go up there and use my crescent wrench and knock the guy in the head and get him off Dave's channel. But the time I got there, Dave had put the big button on him and squashed him like a piss ain't. Why anybody would waste other people's time with such wonderful technology, being able to sit around the campfire and talk to your fellow human beings and for free. There may be a little bit of electricity or maybe a little bit of money on if you have to rent your modem or something. But wanted to come in and just raise hell, and talk ignorant stuff. Life is too short to be ignorant. When you're ignorant, it makes your life seem like it's longer than what it is because you're always bumping heads. Today, we have nothing on the. Oh, yes, we did. Oh, I started to say we didn't have anything on the menu today for lunch, but we do. We're going to have lasagna and a good green salad, nice vegetable salad. Let me show you what I did to bring peace in the world on the home front. I have 2 little dogs, and I got multiple beds all over the room, but the only place they like to lay is in front of the fireplace. And we only had the 1 bed in front of the fireplace. But now, if you look over here, I'm going to do this kind of slow so I don't make everybody sick. You see the 2 puppies there. They're contented. they're contented right there with their own beds. Now, that bed to the left, the blue bed, we always refer to that as the mud bed because when Theo used to come in, he'd go over and hop on that bed there, and if he had mud on his feet, you can see the stains on it. Now, we run that through the wash machine, but it needs to be run through the wash machine again. I can see that. See that water jug there? I'll tell you a little story about it. When they drink out of the trough down below, the water jug gurgles. Theo won't drink out of it. He cannot. He does not understand what that gurgling is all about. But little Colton there, the white dog, he'll drink out of that jug. So I have to have a pound of water over here by the couch so Theo can have water. Now, I was making fun of him of being such a coward, afraid of that water jug, that I was teasing him about it. I took him over there, held him, put my fingers in the water, show him it wouldn't hurt him, and the gurgling wasn't nothing to be afraid of. Well, he still wouldn't drink out of it. He's scared of that gurgling sound. I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning one morning, walking in the dark. I walked by that water jug, and just the bouncing of my feet on the floor caused the water jug to gurgle, and it scared the shit out of me. I went, whoa! I thought a copper-headed rattle moccasin had already got me. Oh, 2-4, buddy, I'm so sorry. I'm so busy talking myself, and I forgot to bring you guys in and find out what's on your mind today, how life is treating you. Come back and see us anytime. You know you're always welcome here at my Old Mack's place. Like to say on that commercial, 2-4, we'll keep a light on for you. My cup of coffee here is so nice and warm. What does it say down there, the rest of that? Except when he disagrees with mom. Ain't that the truth? Only a dumb man would disagree with mom. Here comes my email. You got mail. Well, anybody have a topic they'd like to talk about? Mine is a non-topic type of a channel. Whatever you bring up, we'll help you discuss it. I'm still trying to find out the answer to why. Well, 2025 started out pretty cold, and it's going to get better. I looked into February. I see a lot of 70-degree days in February, so I will probably. I think I might ride next Thursday, a week from the day. The temperature is going to be 60 degrees. The only day that week it's going to reach 60. So I might go riding, because last week we rode and it was 50, and it wasn't bad for me. Angelique got real cold, but it don't seem to bother me as much. Well, I'm twice her size, so you know I got a lot more blood in me to keep me warm. Hey, sick. I watched you and Motobomb on the coffee. I think you and Ray Moto laugh and Motobomb, but I couldn't get on. Um, but as soon as I was able to get on, well, it was 53 minutes after you had signed off before I was able to get on. But I did go in and say that you guys were. Ray was out there driving his truck pickup, and so I did get to participate in that way. But I had no way of letting you know that I was there. We went up and said hello to Dave last night. He had he had somebody. He was at home. Yeah, I'm happy you come and join me this morning, sick. I know it's been cold down there. Man, I hope you get in. Ain't nothing more. I wouldn't set one time. I had a friend just die. They just buried him this past weekend. Me and him, this friend of mine owned a charter bus service. And then when after he gave up charter bus service, he was an over the road driver. And him and I, we had the thing in common with both driving over the road. But I found out when he had his charter bus service, there was a customer of his had the bus chartered year round, and his name was Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson would, my friend, his name was Jerry Gibbs. He was in the U.S. Air Force. He was a country western singer. He was an entertainer. But Jerry would tell me about he'd get a call at 2 o'clock in the morning and said, "We got to be from Nashville to Las Vegas. We got to have you to get us out there." And he'd take his charter bus. Sometimes it'd take two buses. His co-driver would go up and drive one of the buses. Mr. Gibbs died, and they cremated him. They had his services Sunday or this past weekend. Mr. Gibbs was an American Indian. I knew his family well. I was best friends with his brother, his younger brother. He's gone too. In fact, I believe the whole family is gone now. See, my mother's dad was a Cherokee Indian. My mother was, part Cherokee. And so I had that tie with Jerry Gibbs. I did a lot of karaoke. He had a complete karaoke set up, and I was his musical director. I did a lot of musical videos for him. I did a lot of electronic keyboard stuff, setting up the various sounds. I set him up to where he could do a live feed. He would go into the Eagles or the Masonic Temple or any place where he was putting on one of his shows. He always brought Elvis Presley impersonators, and he had a lot of list of people he could draw from to help entertain nursing homes and go into the Eagles and different lodges. And I set it up where he could transmit from his camera and everything. He could transmit back to the screen, and he had Sometimes they'd have 4 or 5 big screens around the walls and everything. And when he'd bring other guests up to sing on the microphone, they would be all throughout the building. And I was the one that set up that stuff for him, and we had a good understanding. I didn't go to his wake. Just chose not to. That's a journey you got to take on your own. But thank you very much, Sick, for your condolences. He was in his 80s like me. He didn't live as long as I did, but he knew his time was up. He was supposed to have been dead by Thanksgiving, but the old bastard wouldn't die. He was an Indian man. They don't give up. He held in there. And then everybody began to get a little nervous that he wasn't going to die. Then come Christmas, roll around there, and they go, hell, what is that for? When is he going to die? Because it's wasting a lot of people's time, having to wait for that funeral and everything. And people don't have time. This is a busy world. You don't have time to, I can manage 15, 20 minutes here or there, but I can't be on a schedule for 3 or 4 months waiting for somebody to die. That's the way our lives are. It's an unfortunate thing. I remember as a kid, one day out of every year, we went and paid respects to those that came before us. We went to Declaration Day to declare our love for those that had passed on, our descendants. And you can't get a young person to go to the cemetery. Hell no, that's for old people. They stay busy on their little TikToker, TikTok. That's what they said on one of the news service. TikTok. So I ain't putting down the youth. I just know that times have changed, and so we got cemeteries all over America, and you can't even hardly get anybody to go out and put flyers on. They go, "Oh, I can't. I'll get somebody to go over there. I'm just way too busy." Yeah, that's the change. I hated to give up on decoration, but let me tell you why I gave up on decoration. I so proudly came back from Washington State after being gone for 40 years. And I watched the calendar and I knew when Decoration Day was going to be. So I rode my Harley up there. And this has been a few years ago. And I saw all the family people gathered up. And I recognized so many of them. So I go in and we was all handshaking and, happy to catch up on. They hadn't seen me in 40 years. And some of them didn't even know who I was. And these are the younger ones that was born after I left. See, they was only 30 and I'd been gone 10 years by the time they was born. And so we were all being happy and everybody was getting ready to eat. Man, they had the food laid out. Grandma and aunts and Aunt Bessie and everybody had put all their foods out there. And I heard a voice way off over. They hollered at me that my name is Jerry. And this voice I heard, it was familiar. It was going, Jerry, Jerry. I look out, who knows me? And I looked up on the hill and there is my sister up there. And she was doing this. Hey, get up here, come up here. So I excused myself because I thinking something, my sister would need me to help get something out of the car or whatever. So I go trudging up there and she said, this is our family right here. I said, that was my family right down there. She said, they're from the other side of the family. I said, what do you mean the other side of the family? It's a Decoration Day where the families come together. Uh, no, we don't have nothing to do with them people. Oh, they separated here in 77. In 1977, they said they would never, ever, ever, ever do that again. They would never eat. They would never, never. I go, what? Yeah, there'd been a rebellion while I was gone. The two families had divided, and that side was eat down there, and this side eat over here. And they hated everyone. I go, what? You can't bring hate to the cemetery. That's where it all ends. And I said, she said, come on. And so she introduced me to some of my relatives, which I recognize some of them. And a lot of them I didn't recognize because he was only, 30 years of age and I'd been gone for 40. And I didn't stay. I went ahead and I excused myself and went down there and got on my Harley and rode away. Never went back. I'm not going to take a damn family hate to the grave. That's just me. But guess what happened? The hate grew so much in the last couple of years. It grew so damn much that they quit going at all because they wouldn't allow themselves to be in the same cemetery with them ugly suckers. Oh, I'll never go back again. Oh my God. You want to know what pure, unadulterated hate is all about? Just come to the Southeast. We can teach you new angles on hate. How to hate your own dead people. How to hate your own people that's still alive. How to hate your blood line. We know all about hate. We know of the harm and the evil that comes of hate. And I won't participate in it. So my days of decorations are over. What I loved about it, in the early years, we got dressed up once every year, and that was at Easter. My sisters wore the finest dresses. We put on our shoes. Now, putting on shoes wasn't an easy thing for us because we was barefooted people. But we put on shoes. We'd go up for decoration, hold our Easter services, and it was something my mother loved doing. She would I'd watch her. We'd go out there and be washing in the wash pot, and she'd have her tubs of ranch water, and then she had her starching water, and she had the boiling pot for boiling the heavy jeans and stuff. And so you had a whole operation there, and all the kids partake. They had their portions they did. The bigger boys helped wring out the quilts and stuff that you hang on the line. The sheets had to be wrung out before you put them on the line. And I'd watch my mother go out there and take her big basket and bring the clothes off the line. And that's only part of it. You say, yeah, but she got to fold and put them away. No, she didn't have to fold them and put them away. She had to go over on the stove top, and she placed all of her irons on the stove top. She had big smoothing irons for pants, and she had smaller smoothing irons for shirts, and she had little smoothing irons. A smoothing iron is a smooth bottom iron, has a handle on the top, and you put them and you heated them up. And she had the little ones about that big, had a handle for ironing around the buttons and the ironing the collar. The collar had its own little iron, and she would take it off the stove and iron the collars. She'd have like three little ones. Then she'd set that one back, and then she'd do the buttonholes. And then she'd reach and get another one, and she'd do the cuffs on the sleeves. Because everything had to be starched and had to be ironed and had to be pretty on Declaration Day, Easter Sunday. And we loved the pageantry of it, the getting dressed up. And we'd gather around, like at that time in the 40s, my grandmother was still alive on my father's side, but my grandmother on my mother's side, she had already was deceased. And they would tell stories about their wonderful memories of these individuals laying there in the ground. And that's how we learned about our families, by listening to the stories. And now you learn about your family through 23andMe, and I'm no exception. My sister bought me a subscription to 23andMe, and didn't take me about 1 year, and I realized it was a scam operation to take you money. 23andMe, didn't even know my sister and I was related. 23andMe was broken into and hacked by the Chinese, and it took millions of Americans' identifications and information about Americans through 23andMe was given up through a hack by the Chinese. Oh, of course they said, I'm sorry. But I got out of it, got away from it, because I learned more about my relatives by listening to my living relatives talk about their parents. I had little babies. My mother had 10 children, and some of my little brothers and sisters were laying right there in the cemetery. I learned about my history by being a part of it. Now today, the youth counts on 23andMe to give them a story. If you tell a young person today that you're kin to King Richard IV, you're kin to Napoleon, you're kin to all the great, maybe Caesar. Oh my God, it's well worth the money just knowing that you're kin to Caesar. You can go to school and brag about, yeah, my relatives are pretty important people. They learned that on 23andMe. Now, before anybody gets themselves worked up into a fever pitch about my saying negative thing about something they love dearly, 23andMe, that's only my opinion. And I'm entitled to my opinion based upon the knowledge I garnered from being a participant in 23andMe for a couple of years. So for what it's worth, take the entertainment. You pay, I think my sister paid a couple $100 to get me to be a member. She paid it because she needed information. And so for a lot of people, a couple $100 for the entertainment you get out of it, knowing that you're kin to King Richard, knowing that you're kin to Chief Pocahontas, knowing that you're akin to Zulu Warbuck, the head most powerful warrior of all of the Zulu nations. Oh man, that's got to be worth something. You are actually a third cousin to King Tut. It's right here. I got it right here. You're actually a descendant of a gladiator. That's pretty entertaining. Your cousin was Leif Erikson. He discovered America, not that other guy. The modified history talks about Christopher Columbus discovered America. Well, long before Christie got here and his 3 little boats, there was Ponce de Leon and Leif Erikson and De Soto. They was, oh, how about them Indians, them savages? They was here. They didn't know they was in America, but they was here. They didn't They didn't play no part in discovering America. It was done by white men. Christopher Columbus. Modified history. You have to take history for what it's worth. I can alter the story about anything. You can today. Under the new rules and regulations, there's no proofreading, no background check. Whatever you say is gospel. It can't be disputed. Pretty sad, ain't it? No checks and balances. Whatever you want to say. Let it roll, baby. We're living in the new era. I can't believe I'm been. Hey, Mr. Toga. Well, as I've told you, Mr. Toga, I express my condolences to your loss of your countrymen in the fire and the losing a professor. One of your professors died in that fire. And it becomes a reality when you have a tie to something so tragic. You see the tragedy going on in California. See the tragedy in New Orleans, the snow, the blizzard of New Orleans. It was a sad thing to read about. You remember I told you we used to have a base of operations there in Turkey. I like to refer to Turkey about the historical value of Turkey. And what a wonderful contribution your country has made to humanity. And that's something I know you have to be proud of. When I look at the Egyptian pyramids, I think about the laborers that built those pyramids. What a contribution they made. Not the horrible person that's embalmed and entombed inside the pyramid, but the laborers that built it. Those are built on the backs of laboring people, which I have never been moved very far from. Born into labor as a laborer, will always remain strong for the movement of the laboring people. That's right. A tragedy is that, a tragedy of the lost history from the actions of others. That it truly was a tragedy. To show you it's a small world, for a boy, a man, an elderly man in Alabama to grieve for the loss of the lives in Turkey, knowing that there are people, they wake up in the morning and they see the wildfires of California and they have grief for the people of California, not detest and their opinion on how it happened and why it happened and it shouldn't have happened and they all should die and go to hell for letting it happen. No, let's pitch in and help. Let's see what we can do to help these people wherever the tragedy is, whether it's an earthquake up in Tibet or the large earthquake you had in Turkey that lost thousands of lives. People, the true loving human beings that love being a human, they came to the aid of Turkey. Same as the people that has love and compassion for other people in the world, they've always come to the aid of people in need. We can learn a lot from our actions. Other people, if you stood off to one side and looked at our behavior and our actions, it's hard to sell to the rest of the world about our peace and tranquility and about our love for our fellow humans when you look at the actions of others within this country. Just take the time out and maybe love somebody. Hey, Mr. Desert Outlaw. Good seeing you, buddy. Now, I saw you the other day. I couldn't get on, but I did see you the other day, and you was looking happy. I have never seen you when you look depressed anyhow. You have nothing in the world to be depressed about. Oh, everybody's got issues, whether it be political, religious, financial, just the struggle of life itself that can create an issue. But you don't have to wear it, and you don't wear yours on your sleeve. That's what I like about you. You're a good young man. And that's what we need in this world is more good young men, people and women that can bring the feeling of joy and happiness when you, instead of always puckered up and hating everything about life itself. What kind of horrible life you would have to live to always be puckered up? So sad. It takes a lot less labor in your face to be neutral or to smile than it does to work into a frown. You uh, Desert Outlaw, you provoking my memories, my youth, and I'm just happy to see that. I like to see a young person like yourself that interfaces with elderly people as well. You don't like, oh, I don't want to go around him. He's one of them old guys. You're always very courteous when I see you, and you portray yourself as being that of a good, warm human being. And I like to see more young people participate where there's older people around. You can go to any nursing home in America and see the neglected people that was put up there because, well, they couldn't stand the old man being around. Uh, Damn, he's always coughing and fussing about everything. So let's put him in the home. Well, truth has to be said. If you don't ever express how you feel openly, and maybe you have that feeling about individuals you meet over here in the chat line, but you never express it, they never will know the amount of appreciation that I'm harboring unless I convey it to you. And you go most welcome on any chat page you go on because you don't go on as a distractor or someone that's going to change the narrative. You join in and you participate in whatever narrative is going on. And you also absorb a lot of things. You learn a lot of stuff by doing that. That's right. Oh, never would I ever want to be an obstacle to someone's opinion. I do not have to support that opinion, and I do not have to encourage that opinion. But if I was to say that I wanted to learn about why you have that opinion, I'd have to listen to you to find out why you had that opinion. And in doing so, maybe I could learn a little bit about maybe some of the misguided directions I took in life. You know, learning is not a one-way street. You really have to look at many facets of the situation before you have a full understanding of the whole situation. If you only see single tracked, stay single tracked on a single, you will not permit any other level of communications, no other viewpoints, no other ideas, because everything that you have in your ideas are totally wrong and screwed up, and I won't listen to you. Well, that you have dealt yourself a blow. I'll tell you one thing about the cold weather is I've been doing a lot of cooking. I did a little video the other day of a lot of, I did two, a little short of just a 1 minute clip of the different foods. And then I did a longer one where it shows a lot of food. And somebody, I believe they was in Australia, there was another part of the world. They wanted to know what was the name of that restaurant you was going to because they really liked the different food. I said, I'm the cook. The steaks and the pork chops and the gravy and taters and stuff like that. That's me cooking. That was mine. But on the bigger video, there was a lot of different restaurants. We was in Seattle. We was in Clearwater, Florida, St. Pete. We were down in Helen, Georgia. And so I took a little snippet of each of those places where it was eaten and put it in that video, still pictures, and made a video of it. And it covered a lot of different places, including the food I cooked myself. And yeah, this cold weather it's a perfect opportunity to stay home. We're not going out to the restaurants. We normally go out 2 or 3 times a week and eat. And we haven't been out since the cold spell. Let's see, we went out last week ago today. A week ago today, we went to the Golden Corral and rode the bike up there. Poor little Angelique, she got so cold. She never complained now. She's not a whiner. She's just not a whiner. She got really cold. But we haven't, in a week now, we haven't been anywhere. So we've been doing a lot of cooking. And Angelique makes a good salad. Now I'll make the main entree, and she'll do the salad, and she makes good salads. She likes making salads. Now this morning she made me French toast. She made me French toast with Golden Eagle sopping syrup. That's a syrup that's got honey in it. It's bottled in Fayette, Alabama. And I've been to the factory. Oh my God, when I was a little boy, I was a little bitty boy. There was a radio celebrity on AM broadcast radio. His name was Joe Rumore. And Joe Rumore would come on in the morning, and his wife was named Miss Angie. And they would talk about busting them cat head biscuits up over and pouring that gravy all over the biscuits. And then they would take one biscuit and they would sop up the Golden Eagle sopping syrup. They put some syrup in a saucer and they would take that biscuit. Oh, it made me so hungry. And my mama, she'd make big old biscuits. And we didn't have no Golden Eagle sopping syrup. What my mama would do, she'd take her big cast iron skillet and put it on the stove. Take the burner off and put the pot, the big cast iron pan down by the fire. And she'd put 3 or 4 cups of sugar in this cast iron skillet. And she would melt this sugar. And then she'd put some maple extract, maple flavor. And then she had put water and made it into a syrup. And when it got the right consistency, she would put in this big syrup ladle, syrup pitcher. And we'd put that on our biscuits. Oh, Lord, was that some good eating. So she made me French toast this morning. And I put the Golden Eagle sopping syrup on the French toast. And she made me some Amish bacon. We bought several pounds of Amish pepper bacon. And she made me 2 big slices, and it don't curl up, it don't swivel up like the stuff you buy, Hormel bacon or something like that. It was just big old nice, beautiful strips. Oh man, I thought, oh, thank goodness. Sick. I was reading what you said there. I I was thinking when you said the word fall, I thought maybe my signal fell out and nobody was on again, and I looked over and I still had a signal. Oh no, look at it. When I talk about failures of people, you're looking at a big failure sitting right here. I left at the height of technology from a corporation I loved. I was in the 3D world. I was at the height of my career. I was 55 years of age, and I left it. And then all of a sudden, everything changed, and everything is growing so fast. I several times I regretted not staying on and rode the wave of technology. But I, at that point, was ready to come back to Alabama. I was ready to leave Seattle and come to Alabama. And after 40 years, I did come, I stayed up there for 40 years and I come back. And so I have failed in so many ways, it's hard for me to point out somebody else's failures. What I try to do is point out better ways. Before you totally fail, take a look at yourself and you're going to go, whoa, there's room for improvement. And that includes me. We all have a set of parameters we like to work in. And we know that we fall short in achieving those goals to obtain and live within those parameters because variations, for instance, we had it planned that Ruth would bury me. We came to Alabama. I told her, she said, why do you want to go to Alabama? I said, I want to be buried in my family cemetery. And she said, well, we can ship you down there. She had all of her family, all of her family was in Seattle. She didn't want to leave Seattle, but Old Mack wanted to come to Alabama so he could be laid to rest over here at my cemetery. She up and died on us. So that altered, it changed things. I'm not going to be laid in the cemetery. Angelique's got the instructions on how to shake and bake me. We got it. She knows where to take me. It's clean, sterile. They don't know, now that phony ass whining and crying, pretending. I love that old man. He was a good one. Hey, that son of a bitch was a good one. If he was all that good, you'd have been here, sitting right here beside me, having a cup of coffee with me, and not whining and crying at my funeral. Don't send me no flowers at no funeral. If you want to bring me some roses, I can't even smell, but I love the beauty of them while I'm alive. Don't come up here whining and crying about how much you really valued this friendship. I didn't go to my friend's wake. due to the fact of all the phony people that would be there whining and crying. Phony whining and crying. There's emotions you cannot control. Crying is not wrong. It's a human emotion that's most needed. But phony crap. Because if they really loved him, they would have been at the nursing home the last 6 months with him and held his hand and felt the pulse as the blood flowed through his hand while his heart was beating, and look at him in the eyes and tell him how much they loved him while he was here. Not that whining bullshit after he's gone. I had a friend named Jerry Gibbs, country western singer. If you go to Old Mack in my videos, you can slide down all way down there. I've got over 600 videos way down there. You'll find Jerry Gibbs down there. I used to be his musical guy. I would set up all of his musical videos. He did the train named New Orleans, the city of New Orleans. I did a lot of musical videos for him. I set it up so he could communicate Wi-Fi from his switchboard he had set up for his karaoke. I set him up with live microphones. They didn't have to have a cord dragging all over the room. I set him up where the videos would go over on the screen, Wi-Fi'd over to the screen. And he has struggled to live in the last few years. And whole heart. He was a real close friend of Willie Nelson. He traveled with Willie Nelson all the time. He had a charter bus that he hauled Willie Nelson all over the country. This back during the days before it was popular. This was back in the 60s now, in the 70s, before they started getting their own airplanes and flying everywhere. Willie Nelson still has a bus, big motor coach. And yeah, they had his wake this past weekend. He was I don't know how to do it on here, but there's if I was on StreamYard, I could go over and bring up one of his. I did a musical video of him singing. He sounded so much like Willie Nelson. He was country western singer, and he always had a bunch of people like Elvis Presley impersonators and people that could do all kinds of voices. He would take them with him on his show, and we used to go and set up all of his sound equipment at the nursing home, and he'd put on free shows at the nursing home. They loved him there, and I had so many wonderful moments of people coming up to me because I was the sound director. I did all the electronics on this when he'd come to the nursing home, and he was a hard-working guy. My God, he worked so hard at doing the thing that he loved. And yeah, we had a lot of great years. He was in the Air Force. He was stationed he was in Greenland. And he went from there. He was only there briefly, but he went to Alaska. And he was up there on one of what's called the dew line, distant early warning. Yeah, distant early warning dew line. That's back during the Cold War when we had to protect ourselves from aggressors coming from over the polar ice cap. And he was stationed up there for a year. Whoa, it was cold. He was a Cherokee Indian. Hey, Mr. Motorbob. He was a Cherokee Indian and he loved his Indian heritage. As you can see, I'm sitting here in the frigid southeast. I think it's up in the 20s now. Um, it ain't that cold now. It's already up in the 20s. Oh, did you see what it says here, Motorbomb? Dad knows all the answers, except when he disagrees with Mom. Uh, well, let me see. Maybe we can strip the old hat off and put the old hoodie back. Yeah, look here, nice springtime, man. When it's springtime in Alaska, it's 40 below. I can't stand my collar wadded up around my neck. There we go. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna tell you, Motorbomb, Dad will always give you the answer, but most time you ain't gonna like it. Dad, can I go to the movie with my new boyfriend? Nah, I don't think so. Dad, could I borrow the car? I don't think so. Dad, can I have $10 for gas? I don't think so. Did you take out the garbage? Did you mow the lawn? No. Well, you ain't getting no $10 then. Yeah, yeah, we had a system where I was paying my oldest boys to do all the yard work. This is when they was 15, 16 years of age, and they was doing all the yard work. I paid them handsomely. So one time they was sending me, they told me, they said, you got to be on the airplane. We got to get rid of you. You got to go right now. Go home and get your bag and go to the airport and you're out of here. So I go home. When I pulled up in the yard, I see my 10-year-old boy out there mowing the lawn. I looked at him and so I called him over to me. I said, what are you doing on that lawnmower? The older kids had hired him at a reduced fee, of course. Probably maybe like a bribe, like if you mow that lawn, I won't tell Dad about what you did. So I lined them up there one time. They had like a little Gestapo inside the family. The older ones was the enforcers. They could make the younger ones do what they wanted to. And yeah, that's sibling rivalry. That's in every family. But I busted up the operation. I busted up the little scam that they had going. Yeah. You've always, you got to have an answer, and I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you, I don't know how far that I deviated from norm on this, but if I laid down a rule, the rule was to be complied with, and it was not an unreasonable rule. For instance, one of my sons, you will take the garbage out every week, and there'll be a restitution, financial value in your part. The other son, you will take care of the yard, and the younger sons, you will pick up trashing around the fence and stuff like that, to keep the place nice. And you'd put a financial responsibility on my part. And as long as all of that went smoothly, but when things deteriorated, they would come and want you to, I really need to I got to go to this game. I've got to be, I said, yeah, but remember what the rule was. If you finish this task, you'll get to go to the game. Is the task finished? No, but See, they always have a story why. And I go, well, you're not going to the game. And they didn't go to the game. And I was seen as really bad for doing that because you're supposed to give in to them just a little bit, right? Well, that's what happens when you begin to give them time out and stuff like that with no consequences for their actions. And then they go ahead and do horrible things as adults. Uh, that was only my opinion. But yeah, you had to hold firm on stuff. I bought one of the boys. I bought him a motorcycle. It was a 250 Bataco. I paid a lot of money in those days. In 19, what year was that? 1977. Yeah, 1970. Yeah, Cindy was born in 75. Yeah, so she was about 2 years old. 1977, I bought him a Bataco. And his job was to teach the others how to ride it. It was his, but he had to teach his younger brothers how to ride the Bataco, show them, and I gave them the Bataco was a nice bike, but it had to mix the oil. And I said, you will never mix the oil. I'll be here every weekend. And here's 5 gallons of gas, and you can run it. When that tank gets empty, you'll wait till I mix the right quantity because it's so important to get the right blend. And that ran along real fine. And finally, the motorcycle was burned up because one of them decided he'd just take the siphon hose and get gas out of we had a Volkswagen Beetle, suck that gas into that tank and pour it right in that old Bataco and ride that thing till she smoked. And she did. Yeah, it was 12 or $1,400 for that thing back in the day. It was like an enduro dirt bike. I rode it myself. It was pretty strong. It run really good. But there got to be rules and regulations. Well, she hasn't come in here yet. She hasn't made an appearance today. Well, she's been in here this morning. She made me some French toast, but uh, I'm just kind of curious. We're going to have lasagna for lunch. Lasagna and a salad. We finished up the last of the chili yesterday, but we also got to go shopping. We'll probably do that tomorrow, and then tomorrow I might go to lunch. Now I know we're going to be riding next Thursday. I done looked ahead. It's going to be in the 60s, and that'd be some good riding weather. We'll make a little video. Yeah, I divided them. Oh, look at right here. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but look right over here. Can you see who that is? Let's see. Look who's on the screen over there. That's your friend and mine. That's Mr. Dave in Australia. Now, the reason you can't see the screen any better than that is those two windows back there have so much light that the camera is trying to reduce. Maybe I can hold it down lower. Yeah, you can see it's Dave. But look at here. The part I wanted to show you is my little boys have their separate beds now because there's always scuffling over who gets the bed right in front of the fire. So I moved the watering jug over. Theo is happy as a pig in mud in his little squishy. And Colton, yeah, that's a real genuine. I think it's 1,500 watts or 3,000 maybe it is. It's electronically controlled. You can make it crackling sound and it blows. It's got blower. See right up above the screen there, that long black bar. There's a little red light in it. That's where all the blower blows the heat out. It blows straight out, and it puts out quite a bit of heat. 1,500 or 3,000 watts. I cannot remember, but I do that. I got it on low for the dogs, and they love it. They like laying there, and they won't move from that spot. I can't hardly blame them. They no, no. It's all it's no. It blows. Besides that, there's a that top is a solid. That's a solid shelf across there. It's not. It ain't plywood or it ain't plywood. That is a high end. That that thing the TV sitting on is high end, and it's designed. You can go over and put your hand right on the top of that wood, and there's no heat. It's cold wood. It's got a heat barrier shield, and right down below that is the blowers blow out the air out, the hot air out, and it makes a little bit of a noise. It's got a crackling sound. You can take your little controller. You can take your controller and you can turn up the crackling, popping, snapping sound. And I don't run it at night at all. That little dog, it curls up with Angelique. Colton does. Theo, he sleeps on his squishy. He's got a bed over by side of my bed. Yeah, and we keep it on. That's on low right now. Yeah, there's only one light lit. I think it has three heat ranges, but it's just way too hot for the puppies to lay up there when it's blowing this way, and I don't like it blowing on me either. And anyhow, yeah, I put the separated their beds so they wouldn't be. That little dog is mean. He bites the big dog. He bites Theo, and Theo is a kind, gentle soul. But that little dog has got a mean attitude. That's the reason I love him. He got an attitude. Uh, yeah, I told you that heating system there. Um, it looks like when you look in there, there's a firebox, and it's got the little it's got the little logs, and it has the flames. The heat changes too, so it don't have just. It's got some kind of a little projector or whatever. It's all digital. The thing is, I could buy a pretty good sized motorcycle just for that, just for that console for the TV to sit on. That's a 70-inch TV over there, and you can see it fits real good on it. Um, but that fireplace thing in there, oh my God, they're spendy. When that guy told me the price of that thing, then of course it's got cabinets and all that stuff. If you over there, there's all kinds of recording devices and stuff over there. I keep a lot of electronic stuff in those cabinets. They all open and there's stuff in there. It's just a really good little place for the TV to sit. I'm going to replace maybe this year that TV. I want a new. Now that's a Samsung. It's a good one. I've had it for a couple of years, but I'm going to go to one that has the new Gen 3 Wi-Fi system on it. They've just upgraded them where they've got so much better Wi-Fi control, because that TV runs strictly off Wi-Fi. It has no cables, no wires, nothing. It comes from my box over here in the window, and it goes over to the TV set. There's no cable in. It just runs off Wi-Fi. And the new one has a lot better, because everything we got today now is like USB 3. And the new TV has the later USB 3 technology in it, for faster transfer of 4K data. Now, that one's a 4K TV, but it's still old technology, 2 years old. And I'm going to move that one, is going to go to Angelique's room. And then we're going to take her Samsung and we're going to put it in the living room. And so I'm going to go to 75 inches over there for that one, because my cabinet is designed, it can hold a 75-inch screen. And they've got so many more. In the last 2 years, Samsung has came out with a lot of new technology in their smart TVs. And because here's what happens when Wi-Fi fails here, first thing it goes off is the TV. A red light comes on over there, tells me I don't have any, it comes on, it shows there's no signal going to the TV. And then the next thing to fail is the right here on the PC. It'll come up, and a little round globe will be there, showing it don't have no Wi-Fi. One of these days, I know, unfortunately, I may not last long enough to see it happen, but I've been out here for almost 30 years. In 2027, it'll be 30 years. So we got here in 97. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you don't get a long time on. That's the reason this is an S24, and it's already outdated. They got the new one that's coming out. They already sent me a notice. They're going to give me $900 if I trade this one in on the new one. And the new one's got some nice features. Now this is a Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, and it has some really good video features. And y'all have seen some of my videos I've done with this phone, and it's really, really good. But the new one is even better yet, and it has this one only has 128K, and the new one is 256, not K, meg, 256 megabytes of memory, or storage, I guess it is. Yeah, storage. That'd be like RAM, I guess. But it's a lot better, just a lot better. And so we have thought about trading this one in for the new one, but it's not available here yet. It's what is that thing called? See, it's got a whole new chipset in it and everything. I say phones change every year, every 6 months. If you don't believe me, ask anybody that's got an iPhone, they'll tell you. They're up like iPhone 16. When I first got my first iPhone, it was way back there. And then the last iPhone I had was iPhone 11. And then we switched to Android. And I have been very pleased with my Android. I have no complaints with it. I know it's probably listening to me right now. Y'all have anything y'all want me to ask the dictator in China? Right now is the opportunity. Let me see. For the Chinese people listening to me right now, am I actually kin to Leif Erikson? It said so on 23andMe, and y'all stole all the data. Could y'all let me know, is he really truly my uncle? Is he? Let me know. Thank you. You have to talk to him occasionally. Oh, I went to my sister's house, and she's totally 100% committed to the iPhone system. Everything, iPad Pro, Super iPad, Super Magnum iPad Pro, uh, everything else, this. So we were trying to do something on our system. It wouldn't do it. So I picked up my phone and I asked it a question, and it talked to me thoroughly, showed me all kind of stuff. I asked it to bring me up a city, and then I just bring me up Cleveland, Ohio, and it brought up Cleveland. Hers on that iPhone, there were so many little hoops you had to jump through, and if you wanted, you could download for $49 a month this app that would allow you to do this. For $12.50, you could get another app. For $16.95, you could get another app. For $12.21, you could get another app. And once you got all 9 of them apps, you'd be able to do the same thing I'm doing here with the Android. She was really surprised. I tried to open her eyes with the elitists love that, the iPhone thing, and you ain't never can convince them. Yeah, hey, why not have both if you want to do that? If you got the kind of money you can afford it, get 2 of them, cover both of them. We, as a company, we were doing billions of dollars worth of military contracts for the government, and we had Unix for computers. We had like 80 different types of machine languages, 80 different kinds of machine language. We had so much. Just for instance, if I was working in the Auburn complex, Auburn is in the state of Washington, I couldn't interface with the Kent because they were on a different platform. And if I was on Unix, they was on Unix also, but they was at a different. They didn't run Cobalt. They didn't run Fortran C. They didn't run Assembly C. They didn't. They didn't run any of those things. They run some kind of a bastardized language that if you wanted to go to Reading, Pennsylvania, the Boeing facility in Pennsylvania, couldn't interface with them because they had their own. So along come a new little guy. He's got spectacles, and he's a little nerdy looking guy. His name is Bill Gates, and he had just come up with a brand new little company. He had stole the idea of DOS from a company called IBM, and he had stole it. I mean, literally stole it from, because every PC made said IBM compatible, IBM compatible. Even after Microsoft become a company, all the PCs still had IBM compatible because they owned DOS, disk operating system, and they had their own syntax DOS, and IBM was, everybody knew it. Then come Bill Gates, and he gets involved in it. Next thing you know, computers was not IBM compatible, and but we hired that little guy. Our company did. We hired him, and he brought his little old team down there out of Kirkland, Washington, Bellevue, and Reading. He had the offices of Kirkland, Reading, and Bellevue, and he came down and brought his little staff of people. Paul Allen, he was one of them. Paul Allen is dead, but he was one of the guys that came down. And they took a look and they said, no goddamn wonder you can't do any business. I mean, you can't get the government contracts and stuff like that. You're too dysfunctional. You have too many types of language. And so the company called Microsoft came into the Boeing Aircraft Company and basically came in and it's called standardization. We had the 5 S's that we had to implement immediately. We had to go from the Unix system to a Windows-based system. throughout every facility. And then we had to follow the language path that they routed us to. And but our company, with our teams that we worked with Microsoft, we fed to Microsoft the needs that we needed as a corporation, a big military contractor, things that we needed in our computers. And Microsoft provided, they gave us a thing called, um, well, let's put it this way. Um, when we were doing a lot of new advanced stuff, and remember all of our previous flights to the moon, a slide rule was done for projections. They had so little computing power that when we began to do the stuff, we realized we needed a math coprocessor. The 8086 chip, the 8088 chip didn't possess that. So they immediately, with the help of Intel, they came up with this 486, and they revised it, and they gave us a coprocessor so that we could do background math. In other words, we could apply math here and verify that the accuracy of this math here, because the coprocessor was running parallel. But then we learned that we could use this for separate purposes when we were doing polar coordinates between X, Y, and Z, polar coordinates, routed curvatures, and volume in the space, things that we needed when we were doing lunar flights. And we didn't have it during the lunar flights, but this all come along later. But as we developed tools to do things to bring us into the 21st century, we needed to have this standardization. And they did that for us. They help us to standardize the company so that every player would be involved that was involved with us, whether it be Raytheon or the Hughes Corporation or any of the Honeywell, Leica, or any of those corporations. They would be on the same page we're on. And that really helped a lot. So that's the reason I'm loyal to the service, because of the benefits it gave us, the problem solving that they brought, that they help us to solve problems that occurred while we was trying to achieve things to do the space explorations that we're doing. From that, it just took off, with the binary language, which started a long time ago, but was attributed to this past century. When they brought us the binary language and made it a common household word where people had a true understanding of it, working with fuzzy logic and I love it. I've had people talk about the artificial language and and there's just some things it can't do. They haven't achieved it yet. But I got a feeling that will be accomplished. Where AI will be pretty right on. When you tell people, I know it's true. I saw him say this on TV. You saw AI on TV. There's nothing comes up on the screen and said, this is not a real voice. This is AI. And don't do that. So you can't even swear what you saw and heard on TV is correct, because it might not be correct. Look like my camera is crooked. Let me straighten my camera up. Wow. Let me see. Hang on. We can't stand. There we go. Now I think that is straight right there. I cannot stand. I'm so anal about angles. See, now that wall over there where the speaker is, it's pretty perpendicular. One time, Toga, we were building this big project for Oak Ridge, Tennessee, atomic energy place up here in Tennessee. We were doing this big project. This thing was 180 feet long, and it was 33 feet high. 33 feet high. And I'm walking down the aisle of inside the building. It's very big. It's over a quarter of a mile inside the building, and they got roads inside there, and they got rubber-based surface on the road. So when you walk it, it's really comfortable. You're not walking on concrete. You're walking on a rubber that has a little bit of forgiveness to it. You don't break your ankles walking. So I'm walking down the aisle, and I made a look to the right, and I looked down through there, and I could see the tool was not plumb. It was not vertical. So I went over and looked at the drawing, and the drawing showed me that the tool was perpendicular. It's what's called an established plane. There's these three planes right here. So the perpendicular plane was plane A. The horizontal plane was plane B. So plane A was not perpendicular. So I see this on the black and white. So I walk over to the project manager and I go, "How come your tool's not perpendicular?" He said, "It is." I said, "No, it's not." He said, "Yes, it is. Look right here. Here is an inspection sticker on it, and it's been inspected to be perpendicular." I go, "I know damn well it ain't perpendicular." He said, "You're going to dispute this bonded seal that's got an inspector's number in it, that it's not real?" I said, "You show me that it's perpendicular. If not, I'm going to write up the seal and have the seal removed. This tool's got to be perpendicular." And he said, "I'll show you." So he calls some of his laboring class over and he said, "Set up a transit, set up a laser optic, set up this." They brought in a laser. So they swept the field with a laser. Laser is really accurate, right? So I said, and he showed me he zeroed out. It was zero from top to bottom. You can't get no better than that. That's what the millionth place. It carries out a lot of zeros. And I go, "That's part one. You showing me that the plane is correct. Your QA, they came out and they did the same thing as you showed me, the quality assurance. They saw that you was perpendicular." Yep, and that's the reason he put his seal on it, right? Plane A has been established as being gospel. It is as vertical as it can be. And I said, "Show me that the laser is good." Like, a laser can't be bad. Show me the certification. So he takes me over, and there's a thing called CalCert, where the independent laboratory certified the laser of being accurate. I said, "Now let me calibrate your projector." The projector is what sends the beam of light out. And you have a sleeve that's got a cable on the end of it that goes into a computer, and you put this sleeve over the end of the barrel. And what the thing does, there's a electronic dead center, and that the barrel itself is a machine perfect roundness within 3 thousandths of being perfectly round. And so when I slipped the sleeve over it, we went over there, it was out 9 thousandths from zero. It was out 9,000 in perpendicularity. And he said, 9,000, human hair is only 4,000. So that's like a little over 2 diameters of human hair off. Oh, see, oh my God. I'm on YouTube. I can't stay on long. When it goes off, it goes off, and I have no control over it. So if I just disappear, I mean, I'm gone. So, so the guy said, he said, how could it be off 9,000? I said, the certification was done at the laboratory, and if you take this pigtail wire that goes over to your optical alignment tool, this pigtail, if I take a hammer and hit that pigtail, it's got wires in there, I change the impedance of the wire. And the impedance is the flow of current through the wire is impeded by the distortion of the wire. And so the value won't be correct. And I said, somebody's dropped probably a C-clamp or something onto the cable, even though it didn't cut the cable, it compressed the wires and it's off. He said, I said, before you do any optical alignment, you've got to calibrate and make sure that your projector is properly aligned. And he said, well, we've been doing that. And I said, well, obviously on the day you sold it to inspection, that was not performed. Before an inspector can do the job, he's got to certify that the projector is correct. It's putting out a perfect beam of light. So he said, how could you see 9,000ths off? That's as full of bullshit. He said, somebody's told you it was off, and that's the reason you came over here. I said, no, come out here with me. So he come out in the aisle. And down this building, it's a 1/4 mile long, and we're up on the south wall. The machine that we was working on was on the south wall. So we got all those columns going down through the building for a 1/4 mile, ever so many feet apart. And I said, take a look at your tool and start at the bottom and let your eyes follow the column going up to the roof and look and see which way your tool is. And I said, see if you can see a deviation in which direction it's moving, or if it's perfectly aligned up. And he scanned his eyes to it. He said, oh my God, it is off. I said, I told you. Yeah, because I was looking at a 1/4 mile, doing just the thing we did on the farm. We lined all of our fence posts up by looking down them. And then we could tell if they was all in alignment. If the beams were all off 9 degrees, that'd be one thing, but there's no way a construction company would allow all the beams to be off 9 degrees. They're going to make them plumb. They're going to be plumb. And anyhow, I went over and took my little hammer and broke off the seal, the inspection seal that had been applied, and they brought their little team in and brought in a new projector, showed me that it was lined up, and they shot the plane, and they went down on the bottom, they moved these screw jacks, and they just ever so slightly moved 9,000ths. Not 9 degrees, 9,000ths. And so they lined it up, and they put the putty down, and I stamped it, and everybody was happy. So, all your modern technology, it's still hard to beat these right here. They was given to me by God, and they seem to be working good. Oh, see, I saw you this morning on Motorbomb and Sick. And I wanted so badly to say hello to you, but I couldn't get on the air because I didn't have no internet. And there's all kinds of things. We have a term, Toga, in engineering. It's called stumble upon. That's a term used. You stumble upon a solution. You stumble upon an answer. You stumble upon a correction. And I stumbled upon that. I stumbled upon the fact that you can't plumb bob 180 feet of any degree of accuracy. You take a plumb bob and drop it 180 feet, and let it hang there and mark where it's at today. And you watch what happens to that plumb bob in 365 days. You watch, you mark all the events as the plumb bob moves, as the Earth tilts on its axis. You watch the plumb bob down there at 180 feet and see what happens. It ain't going to be hanging in the same spot. It moves long ways in its travel on the Earth's rotation. We discovered that, and we had then to start using GPS to find alignment inside the Minuteman silo. We lined everything from GPS, not from a drop in a plumb bob off in a transit down 180 feet to find a location at the bottom of the deep hole. Everything had to be done from GPS from that point on. So we established zero position to start with, and the silo is 360 degrees around. So we started with zero azimuth, and we could give a precise location to everything by using GPS rather than a plumb bob. Oh, stumble upon in engineering. Well, look at the people with radiation, microwaves, and the people, Madame Curie, and all those people that have accidentally discovered the effects of radiation. There was a lot of accidental discoveries. They was working on an entirely different, going in a different direction until they discovered something. You remember now? You hear what I'm saying? There is what starts out as one thing ends up something else because they accidentally discovered this awesome power. Do you remember back there in the days when they was talking about splitting atoms before the atomic birth of the atomic energy? They was people that had theories of exactly what could happen. They was doomsday sayers, that once you start the split of the atom, it would grow and grow and grow, and we don't know if we could even control the growth of it. How big would the explosion be? You remember the Russians, the bomb, the hydrogen bomb. It was almost beyond their ability to control. They all got scared. Everybody did. They go, whoa, 150 million tons of anything is too scary to be contemplating, even using in defense. I saw a wonderful thing. I won't go there. I don't do anything politic, and I won't go there. Some stuff that's going on with Turkey and the Ukraine. Turkey has its own issues now with answers they need about the fire and all that stuff, and they will get to the bottom of it. My little birds are out there on the rail eating. Okay, Mr. OC, tell me, how is your health situation? I understand you had some issues there. Tell me if you can. I know you're having to work and you got stuff going on, but if you can give us a little rundown on your medical. What's the prognosis? Are you feeling good, or should we be worried? The whole world was holding their breath. When the word got out, you are known around the world. People know of you, and you're much beloved. And I seen the outpouring of people's concern. What a wonderful world we live in when they can take one single guy that lives in another part of the world and have that level of concern, and people from other places in the world that may not even have the same type of prayer or the same kind of God that you had prayed to, yet there was people praying for you. And that was a wonderful thing. Oh, our numbers are dropping down, so I guess it's getting, well, it's 11, almost, it's 11:30 here, 11:32, so Central Standard Time. I tried to keep the whining and complaining down to a minimum because I'm trying a whole new approach to life in 2025. I don't mind speaking my mind about things, and I don't mind you speaking your mind. Yeah, but oh, magical writer. Is that mystical? MYT? Well, whatever you are, welcome. You're magical to me because you are appearing in my chat line just like magic. Oh, I thought I recognized you got a green blouse on. I thought I recognized the blouse. I go, well, everybody knows Toga. He's got that tuxedo on, and we recognize your green blouse. And Lolly, it's good. Well, you got your own. You got your own character now. Your own stage name. And there is Robin from the Great White North. Whoop, 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 whoop. What was that? The McKenzie brothers. We're going to eat some back bacon. We're going to be getting up on that back bacon and drinking Molson Canadian. Mythical. 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 It's hard to say, but I'm tongue tied. It gets in the way of my eye teeth. I like the Toga. I like your fist bump. Well, Robin, you've been having some uh, you've been having some cold weather up there. Are you still doing construction work, or y'all having to kind of hunker down for a little while for this Arctic blast to get over with, or what's the story on you? I was going to say something, Lolly, Miss Lolly. I was going to say something, but I'll just reserve my thoughts there. I see all your little clapping hands for all the different ones that's in here today, so I'm not going to say anything about you giving all my subscribers the clout. I ain't gonna say that. I ain't gonna say that. Flip Elliott, he's got the alien hand wave. You're a good human being, Lolly. Mythical rider. uh, oh, sick! You're not no chopped liver, man. You, you're you're the kingpin, man. You're the when you go to make that pan of gravy, you're the catalyst that holds it all together. I can only do as they allow me to do. When I say that, that's them little people that run the internet. Now they've been kind to them. Now when it snows, my Wi-Fi goes away. When it rains, my Wi-Fi goes away. When the wind blows, my Wi-Fi goes away. Um, I go to bed at night and the Wi-Fi would be dead. It just goes off. I couldn't, it's just gone. Get up in the morning and the Wi-Fi is still off. And I unplug everything. I do it now. I've got where we do this thing. When we go to bed at night, we unplug it so it will reset itself. Plug it back in and still no Wi-Fi. You can write T-Mobile. You can send them all the text messages. And here's what they said. Inclement weather has caused outages throughout the Southeast. Please bear with us. We are working on the situation. Well, how can you explain it when there's no inclement weather and I still don't have an internet? I ain't whining about it. That's just the way it is. You're like a good pair of shorts, Sick. It's just good knowing that you got them on, that you're on. Hello, Connie. I've been seeing the weather down there. Yesterday morning it was 32 degrees up there where Sick is at, and it was 44 degrees where Joyce is at. Over 20 degrees difference between Florida and Seattle, Washington. Oh, the Forgotten Angels! I'd love to do that. That's still within the possibility of happening. I think even Connie would probably like to go to the Forgotten Angels because that's a pretty nice event. I've never been, but I see it every year and they have so much fun and yeah, it would be nice to make that event. I love you dearly there, Sick. But I tell you, somebody I would make the trip to go see, and that'd be Buck Brown. Buck is just an outstanding human being, and to me, he is probably one of the greater spokesmen for the Forgotten Angels. Not that Motorbomb and everybody else got their logo on their pages. Not that they're not contributing, but uh, Buck Brown is one of those guys. I know. I'm sure he's like, if Buck Brown ain't going, nobody else should go. They go, I ain't going if Buck ain't going. he went down there when it was his house was blown away. You was with him. Remember you hurt your foot down there. Sick. You was down there when y'all was cutting up trees and stuff. We're 37 degrees here at my home right now at this very moment. I don't know if you can see that. 37 degrees. That thing just does not focus good. Anyhow, it's 37 degrees right now, and the sun is shining. It feels a lot warmer. Oh, Robin, well, go do your thing, buddy. No, I mean go back to work. Don't do your thing. It ain't good to do your thing while working. Now that just ain't right. Just go work. Bye. It's 25 in Nova Scotia, and it's 37 in Alabama. It was really something yesterday. It was colder in Florida and more snow in Florida yesterday than in Seattle, than in the western Washington. Yeah, the Forgotten Angels are not that far away. As far as time goes, what's that in March? So, it'll be here before you know it. And of course, uh, as you know, the shade tree surgeon, shade tree surgeon, he is an entrepreneur. He he's worth making the trip just to go see him as well. I follow his stuff. I watched Shayleese last night while I had internet. I watched her for a little while, and she sure has changed over the years. And Mr. Frogzilla, how you doing, Frog? I'm glad OC had a chance to get in and say hello for a just brief period of time there. It is so good to see you guys again today. I'm seeing 2-4 showing up them couple of mugs of beer. I'm thinking about maybe having a cold mug of beer for lunch. I am really seriously considering having a cold mug of beer. Oh yeah, Gainesville is more than 100 miles from you. You're way on down south. One thing I have to say, Lolly, you you add so much. I go to a lot of different pages and I see you, and um, just being there gives the people that is watching your show a degree of comfort because you bring stability when you come in. You bring stability, and sometimes we get a little carried away and we wander and drift around and get up on subjects and topics that maybe we shouldn't be on. But um, you you add to each and every page that you attend. I wanted to tell you that. There are some people you see in these chat lines, and when you see their name appear, you go, "Oh no, oh, this is going to be bad." Well, if you're not told that, and I know you have felt that love from so many of your subscribers, and people enjoy chatting with you and being a part of your life. Um, they tell you in that direction, but if you are verbally told how much you're appreciated, it's just like putting frosting on the cake. You had the cake, and now you got a cake with frosting. You know, such a tragedy. The toll, the amount of people lost in that fire over in Turkey. Uh, the losses are going to be felt. Look at Toga. Toga lost a professor in that fire. I mean, a person he has sat there and listened and has been a part of his life, and now he's gone. What a horrible way to go. Toga, you might, if you would, if you feel like doing so, you might expound upon the origin of the fire, what's going on with the fire, the investigation, you know, a little, just a little brief story, as long as the story you want to make of it, whatever you feel like typing out, let it, for those that have not heard or saw anything about it, because they've been caught up in their own tragedies, you might bring them up to date on where it's at, how many was lost. I saw the breaking story a few days ago, and and it was so close to me because of our operations. We had such a passion for Turkey, for our military operations in Turkey, that it had some deep-rooted feelings for me. I know it's a hard thing to talk about, you know, the losses, and we've uh, we've had many tragedies, and time that helps for the pain to subside, but the loss will be felt the rest of your life. Within the fact of them dying from the smoke rather than being consumed by the flame, it gives you a little comfort in knowing that, because in almost any home fire, they usually are dead before the flames consumes them because of the toxicities in the house. Almost everything you got, plastic and all that stuff, you inhale it. Let me tell you what happened to me. It doesn't even, yeah, I read that. We were located in a place called Pasco, Washington, and we were in a mobile home, and the mobile home caught fire while we was in it. And I woke up in a sleep. I was strangling. I was feeling like I was being suffocated. And then finally, I got a light on, and my wife was laying there, and she had black all around her nose hose, and I couldn't see with the light. I couldn't see the doorway. I see nothing. Oh my God! And we had a little baby boy in the bed with us, and so I got the baby boy and my wife out onto the ground. We had a door in our room, went straight out. I got her out, and then I come back into the fire. I went up and I got my children. They were in different rooms, and I got my children, but three of them was unconscious from the smoke. And I took the three children. I made a total of four that was involved in the fire. I took them and laid them all out, and we had to put blankets on them. And so they ended up going to Harborview Hospital in Seattle, Washington. They was up there quite a bit because the damage done to the little lungs from inhaling, breathing the smoke. Um, it was almost a total tragedy for my family. So when I think about fire and people being consumed by fire, how close we came. Um, we inside our mobile home we was in had paneling, and there was an air intake, and across the hallway was a little covered area that had a plastic. You slid it back and forth, and you could reach in and get clothes and stuff out. It was a little closet, but the fan sucked that in. Part of it went over to where the heat was at, and it caught on fire and went up that wall, and they put the fire out almost immediately. I took a broom handle and was able to pull the burning curtain down. My wife, I didn't know if she was going to make it either because she had much longer, bigger lung capacity, but she was more healthier than the little babies. They pretty vulnerable. And so I had four of the kids in the hospital at Harborview in Seattle. Oh, we were so fortunate. So fortunate. Oh, God Almighty. 45 minutes. Yeah, indeed, a tragedy. Yeah, just planning an escape route 24. It made us so consciously aware of the possibility of fire that we made sure we did. I don't think we had a trailer house after that, but we wasn't living in one. Just make sure that you have your evacuation route, your plan of action in place, um, so that you can do the best you can do. Oh yeah, in an off-road situation like that, it's hard to start pointing fingers at people, and we as human beings, we tend to do that. We blame everybody else. Um, and some of the places I used to stay in Reno, Nevada, and also in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've been there so many times. And we stayed in some of the buildings that there was a period of time when the underworld was controlling Las Vegas and they was fighting for turf and they was burning one another out. You guys may not remember that. Y'all may be too young, but in the 60s and 70s, there's a lot of fires in Las Vegas that was set because one family was against the other family. And it was all ganglands kind of stuff. And so many people died. And we stayed. And I every time we was up on like any high floor, we always made sure we had an evacuation plan in mind because we survived our fire. But you always had to have some kind of a thought in your head that it's possible it could happen. Hey, the war is over. In other words, as they say, Vegas has went legit many years ago, and the underworld is still there. But you don't. The battles have been solved. They realize if they had just share the wealth amongst one another, everybody gets rich and everybody's happy. But they quit fighting over the turf, and yeah, it's more. Now, so many safety things are in place to make you safe. You're going to love Las Vegas. I took my mother to Las Vegas for her 75th birthday. My children went down there with me. Two of my children, my son and his wife went with me. They flew down. We took a van, a cruising van, and went down there for my mother's 75th birthday. Oh, how could you not love it, man? I do. I like that whole. It's like going into many worlds in one town. You've got all those dreamland themed hotels and so much stuff. I mean, life is really happening there. Get a chance, go to Vegas. You don't have to be a gambler. Oh my God, I'm not a gambler, but I'm a lover of arts and entertainment. Some of those buildings are painted in the ceiling, like the Sistine Chapel. It's so beautiful to go in, like Caesar's Palace and some of those bigger. My son stayed at the Lexor. He really liked staying over there. That was back during the time when it was really, really popular. It just got built. And we went over and visited him in his hotel room. And yeah, they had a really nice place there. Oh, we stayed at the Lexor. You're going to look. That's where my son stayed. He stayed in the Lexor, and we stayed at Excalibur, right up the street. Excalibur is where we was at, and he stayed over there at the Lexor, and we spent a lot of time over. We eat over there, and then the MGM Grand. We did our breakfast and stuff at the MGM Grand. I know one thing. Stick can tell you what a great time you're going to have at Sick and Company, Dead and Company, not Sick and Company, Dead. Yeah, you're going to have a good time. Yeah, I really like that city. We made so many trips down there. Oh man, well, at 2015. Let me see. They didn't have all. Yeah, they did in 2015. I don't know if they had everything completed by 2015, but you're going to see all the new stuff. All Go up there if you got the balls to do this 2-4. Go up there on that sky ride up at the top up there and take the zip line ride, or go up there and go and let them swing you out around the outside of the building. Woo! And roll you upside down, and you come back and tell us what that was like. Do a live while you're up there. Get your little camera and strap it on and put it on your helmet or something, your motorcycle helmet, and put your GoPro or whatever you got there on the front there, and ride some of them rides there, and come back and let us know all about it. We go, man, that boy's got some balls on him. He done did that. I love it too. For you're just like me. My ass ain't gonna crawl on it. Let me tell you a little story. And my sister is sitting right over here. She can verify if she's still on here. She may be watching soap opera or something, but if she's still here, we went to go zip lining up in, where was that? Kentucky, or we was up in maybe Kentucky. It might have been West Virginia. We went to zip line. So we looked it up, and we drove to go zip lining. This zip line is supposed to be the largest on the East Coast, and it was the most thrilling. You go through, it is huge. That's all we could hear about. I read all about it. I said, we got to go do it. Now, my sister Connie and I, we were going to strap in there. Now, Joyce is more conservative about doing stuff like that. And so she said, I'll go over and I'll watch you guys. And we got up there, and the damn place had just sent the last group of people down the zip line because it took us so long to get there. And we didn't get the zip line. That was one opportunity. That was in 2017 that we wanted to go do the zip line up there through the forest. Long, thousands of feet off the ground, and fly like a bird. And she was still in here, she could verify what I'm telling is to be the truth. March the 27th, 28th. Oh. And you're going to be at the Lexor. You're going to have a good time, and you're going to have some good food. My brother, he flew in from Alabama to meet us when my mother had her 75th birthday there. And when he was flying in, he saw a sign said you could get a New York steak or a T-bone steak for some great, all this wonderful steak and potatoes and all that stuff that goes with it. And we took off, started walking, and we walked like 30 blocks and got up there to that place he wanted to eat at, my oldest brother. And you had lobster and steak. It was some fabulous, for like $15 you could get steak and lobster. About half the price normally it would cost you for steak and lobster. It was like $15, and we walked 30 blocks to get there. My poor old mama, 75 years old, she had already had a knee replacement. She was wore out till we got up there. But we made it up there, and we bought Mother a birthday cake at that restaurant. They served her a cake. They brought it out, and it was quite a nice thing. But oh my God, that walk. So when we was up there, we said, look, the bus takes you all the way back down on the strip, and the shows, man. There are so many shows. Yeah, please go do the shows. And this is an opportunity to get to see a lot of things that you're not going to see in Nova Scotia. And you're going to be able to see them right there live on the stage. And we've been to so many shows. We love them. I highly recommend Yeah, Fremont Street, of course. That's like if you come to Seattle, Washington, you want to go to the old city of Seattle, which is underground. Going to Fremont is it's the journey. But anyhow, while we was up there 32 blocks away, $2 billion for the spear. You're like me, 2-4. I don't either. I don't. I can't see throwing the money away. But we got on a bus, and this bus, we were back quite a ways back in the seats, and we're all our whole family gathered around. We had all them seats up there, and they said everybody went, "Oh God!" The odor inside that bus was nothing but curry. And we got to looking around, and there was a lot of these guys had uh, the those Hindus that wear the thing on their head, and they from India, and these people was heavy duty curry eaters. Oh, we bought some of the big drinks there on free. Oh my God, we bought those. I still have them. Well, I gave them to my friend. We had the mugs for years. Those big. We kept them. You know, when you buy them, you get to get. We brought them back, and I know I'm thinking about having beer. Let me show you how we can get things done here. Let me just let me show you how technology works. Oh, okay. Here we go. Now this is like room service. Oh, 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 oh,
Hey, it's Angelique. Sorry I missed your call. I'll call you back when I can. Thanks. Bye.
oh.
At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Buenos tacos, señorita. Could I have you to please, when you bring lunch, please bring me a cold Yingling dark lager. Thank you, sweetie. Hasta la vista, baby. See, that's how it works. Doggone it. Because if you'd have come to Florida, my ass would have went down there just to make sure I got to see you. Miss Lolly, I got the fire right here. Room service, please. See, she's learned that she's watching one of her movies over there. She turns the phone off so she can't be bothered by old Mac. Because old Mac's always wanting something. Old Mac's always, yeah, old Mac is always wanting something. So she turned that phone off there so she can watch the rest of her movie. Now she'll look up at the time here pretty soon. But I left her a message. Let's just see. Let's just see if she gets the message to bring me a cold beer. Because I am ready for a cold beer. I mean, I know it's a cold day. The sun is shining. It's really blue out there. The cardinals are eating their feet off the rail, and the dogs, the dogs are still. Oh, they got another. That was a. I believe that was South Osmodo. That's South Osmodo on the screen. There he is, right there. Look, South Osmodo. Duct tape right along. Look at it right here. So you can see my whole life flashing before your eyes. I don't have nothing in my life except motorcycles, and dogs. Dogs. Look over there. That old man didn't even make his bed up this morning. What a shame. I should be putting. Let me tilt a bit back here. Yeah, my whole life is all about riding. Yeah, life is so hard there too for booking trips to Vegas. Uh, you've done it. You've already drove all the way across to the British Columbia. To me, for anybody that lives in this world that I am talking to, if you ever wanted to take a vacation to paradise, don't think about Loveland, Colorado. Don't think about none of the skiing resorts. Just think about British Columbia. Go to British Columbia. Go up on Whistler. You want to ski? You got skiing. Go to Vancouver, where oh my God, they are the most warmest human beings. You don't get the coldness that you get, like say you go to Buffalo, New York. I don't have nothing against Buffalo, but there's a lot of coldness there. Not only cold weather from the wind off the lakes, but the rain and snow, but the people themselves are so fed up with tourists coming up there to Niagara Falls and all up through there that they just harden to it. But you go to British Columbia and go to Vancouver. That's the home of Red Ryder. She's up in British Columbia. You can see the decency she represents. When you see her, that's what you see when you see the people of British Columbia. They're good human beings with nothing but love. Uh, sure, they were really a little bit weird with the A thing. You want some butter beans, eh? Shall I get you some cornbread, eh? But but they're good human beings. Um, go to Vancouver. Go to British Columbia. Hey, Adventures on Key Fob. Yeah, I saw you a couple of times this week. I don't get to see everybody all the time because of my internet problem, but I did see you a couple of times this week. I know you're alive and well. I enjoyed seeing you as well. I got to tell you that. Oh yeah, and you mentioned that going there. I live just across the border down there, and we used to go up. We used to have this big ham convention up in British Columbia, and I'd take a truckload of ham radios up there and sell everything I had. I get up there because they have to pay so much to get because they have all these import taxes and everything on Asian goods, and it's horrible the trade imbalance of the people of British Columbia. And we'd take a truckload or van load of radios up there and sell every one of them because I would sell them a Kenwood or an ICOM radio for like $900 American. That's 2,400 Canadian. Not that there's that much of a difference between Canadian money and American money, but the imports they had to pay to get a radio out of Japan, it's just unbelievable what it costs the people there in British Columbia for anything that comes from Asia. It was then. I don't know what the trade imbalance is now, but oh man, they would buy every radio. I've got friends that live in Australia. They live in Sydney, and they come every year to Los Angeles, and they buy cars. They buy 4 cars. The one they'll drive, and they got a tow bar, and they tow the other behind them, and they drive all the way to British Columbia and take those cars to British Columbia and sell them in British Columbia. And the people are getting a great bargain. but also they pay for the whole entire trip off the money they make off selling those 4 cars. They've been doing that for years, but now things have changed with the border crossings, but they're not changed for them. They're a part of the crown from England. Australia has a tie back to the crown, and so does Canada. So they can get into Canada with goods that I can't take into Canada now. But yeah, you go to British Columbia, I like Alberta. The reason being is I'm a farmer by nature, and I like the farm. See, when you go to Eastern Washington, that's all farmland. That's some of the best wheat in the world comes uh, from Washington State, from Eastern Washington, and Ritzville. Ritzville is some of the biggest wheat fields in the world. Winter wheat is unbelievable. Yeah, and if you go up to the Calvary Stampede, I don't remember which one of that. We have one of our YouTuber friends that live up in Alberta. I don't remember what her name is because of age. But she's up in Alberta, the farmland area. Hello, Mr. Tom Bailey. I hope all's well in Tom Bailey's world. Oh, so your youngest son lives over in Alberta. Well, it's Alberta is quite a bit different than British Columbia. Much more I think, conservative as far as the political viewpoints. They're farmer people, and I really like them. When we used to go across the border, we'd go up there to the Calvary Stampede, and that was something we always looked forward to. I tell you, somebody would really love it. That would be Desert Outlaw. He'd like to strap his ass on a wild Mustang pony and come down off that ridge, ride with them Indians, and see how good he does on that. I bet you he'd get a kick out of that. I never did do it, but I've seen a lot of them do it. You've heard of it, Desert Outlaw. But I'm just thinking to yourself, you're in this group right here is probably young enough to be able to wrangle a horse down off that thing. If you do it safe and civilized, hell, you're not racing. If you do it to win, you're gonna possibility kill yourself because it's a win or die situation. Well, it was. Now, they put a level of humanity back into it there. When the Indians did it, when we used to go up, when the Indians we always went up there with the Yakima Indians. But when the Indians did it, let me see your little hand. We gotta get a little hand on the screen. Got a little hand right there. Look at that little hand. She's been your hand is like us. Did you get my message?
No, I was in the kitchen doing dishes.
All right, let me convey my message to you.
Big salad.
Hello, Angelique. Can you hear me, Angelique? Can you hear me, Angelique? I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. When you bring my warm food in here,
Sure.
could I get you to bring me some Yingling cold beer?
Yeah.
All right. See how that works, Miss Lolly? You just call up Jeeves. That's her name. She used to go by Sangria. No, what was it?
Chardonnay.
Chardonnay. her name was Chardonnay for a long time, and now
I don't even like that wine.
she don't even drink that. She don't even like Chardonnay. Anyhow,
I was fixing a salad.
okay, get that salad fixed, and you go ahead and bring me a cold beer.
You want the one in the fridge or the one on the ground?
Yeah,
They're
well,
both equally cold.
Just get me one. Don't in a frosted mug. Just bring me a cold bottle of beer.
You want me to open it up?
Yeah, please. She's having to go into the frigid kitchen. Oh, what are you cooking today, Toga? Tell us what's on the menu. I'm going to have lasagna and cold beer and a salad. Yeah, I'll have her to have your name put on the list there. And well, we got to come up with some kind of a signal. Let me see. I'll email you, Angelique. Put it right here. Put it right here, baby. Would you take the lid off? Okay, thanks. She just brought me a cold Yingling here.
It is very cold.
You are to put 2-4 on the list when he calls you. And I'm sending this up to him. And so he's going to call you. When you hear this sound, you are to take him a cold beer. And the sound's going like it. When he blows his horn, you are to pack him a beer. You hear me?
Never!
You better listen to me, girl.
I am my own independent woman.
Yeah. You're on the list. Tell him 2-4 he's on the list.
You're on the list.
You're on her list, 2-4.
Oh, it is so cold in that kitchen. There we go. Merry Christmas from me to you.
Oh, well, you bent. Look at that.
I did.
I want to see how strong that little critter is. She bent that right here. Well, it's just her eyelids. She's an Alabama girl. Anyhow, I normally would be drinking this in a frosty mug, but
It's too frosty for a frosty mug.
That'd be criminal.
Do you want me to get you a straw, big boy?
A straw?
Oh, I can't even say it.
Would that bring my feminine side out?
I'll go get you one. Would you like a pink one? I have them all.
No, thank you. Get out of my sight.
I'll
Go on, get.
I'll bring lunch in a little bit.
See if you give them any gratitude and thank them for whatever they do for
They
you.
start getting the big ego.
They start to get the big ego. That's right. Their head gets big and they start back talking and everything,
Bye.
Bye-bye, honey. What's life without a little fun, right? You got to talk to them women. You got to talk to them in a language they understand. Go on, get. She don't like me calling her a little heifer. Let me tell you about Coors. When I turned 33 years of age, I had reached a level in the company that I have now a new set of friends. I was up in this level of engineering where we had elevated our position. So on my 33rd birthday, I passed out these invitations to all my friends in that new division up there to come to my birthday. And some of them, my old friends, that they didn't have to have an invite. They knew that because I met with them every weekend. They knew the party was going to be on, but the new friends, I had to give them instructions on how to get out there. And so one of my new friends, he was a graduate of Washington State. No, he was University of Washington, and just a super nice guy. But he wanted to get on my good side. So him and his wife went to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is 300 miles away. And they bought a case of Coors beer. Coors was not allowed to be sold in the state of Washington. It was against the law. That would have been in 1973. Because of the pasteurization or whatever, they wouldn't allow it. It could not be, you could not buy any Coors beer in Washington. So they drove to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and they brought a case of Coors beer. And out on the back deck out there, we had these washing tubs, number 3 washing tubs full of ice, and the beer was all in those tubs. And so we put that case of beer out there in its own tub. And in 15 minutes, there was not a bottle of beer. They didn't touch Rainier beer. They didn't touch Olympia beer. They didn't drink any Heidelberg beer. They didn't drink any Bud. No, they all went for the Coors. Drank every bottle of it. I got one bottle out of the case. It was gone. My friend got so mad at me when I went back to work after the birthday. A few days later, I see him. And I said, hey, did you enjoy the way your rednecks have a party and everything? Because they were very sophisticated. I don't have a sheepskin. I don't have a diploma. And so these are a little bit more sophisticated people than I was. I said, did you like the way your rednecks party? And then after a little while, after he began to kind of loosen up, he said he was pretty well offended. He was too offended. He was a little bit offended that I allowed them to drink my birthday. He wanted me to have one like every evening when I'd come in. And so I'd have 24 bottles of beer there, and I could enjoy a beer for over a long period of time. Anyhow, that was my little Coors beer. In that 33rd birthday, one of my friends from the laboring side, he was in the welders union, that was operating engineers. He drove his Volkswagen car. When it come time to leave, he was intoxicated, and he was going to take a shortcut across my front yard. He got halfway across the yard and got stuck. He spinning on little wheels, He couldn't move. And so he had to leave his car there all night in my front yard, in my lawn. I didn't go move it or nothing, didn't even attempt to move it. When he sobered up, he came back out in a couple of days to get his car. They took him home. He couldn't believe he had done that, drove through my lawn and got stuck. Um, we was limited. I had almost an acre there where I lived. I lived in a place called Lake Wilderness, and we had almost an acre corner place. But there were rules. You couldn't park on the street because they didn't have sidewalks on the street. So they could only park in my designated parking areas. And we ran out of space pretty fast because we had probably 175 people at my birthday, my 33rd birthday. Made a lifelong friends. They were friends of me. until they expired. We maintained friendship for 30, 40 years. And then they expired. Oh, we had parties. Oh, I'm going to tell you the parties back in our days. You know, rock and roll was here. Yeah, Pell City, Alabama, just right over yonder. It's over on I-20, heading out towards Talladega, the racetrack. Yeah, Pell City is a nice town. It's got a Buc-ee's over there. That's the only thing I can say about Pell City. It's got a Buc-ee's. Everybody loves the Buc-ee's over at Pell City. I used to go over and buy guns in Pell City. There was a guy that had, he's gone now, but when he had his business over there, I used to buy guns from him. When I was an over-the-road truck driver, I used to go to Pell City. There's a place over there in Pell City, down south of Pell City there. And I used to go haul. It was a laser cut stuff. And one time I hauled a sign for the U.S. Air Force to Gowan Field. Gowan Field is located over in Idaho and over by Boise. Gowan Field, that's the home of the A-10 Warthog. It was then. I carried that sign out there on a flatbed truck. It was like 30-something feet long and stood up just almost to the legal height that I could carry. I was within maybe a foot from the legal height. And I took that thing out there to Gowan Field in Boise, Idaho, laser cut sign. And I got to take a tour of Gowan Field, the home of the A-10 Warthog. And that was over at Pell City. I do a lot of traveling and I have traveled in a lot of places. I have favorite places. I tell you a favorite place. There's a lot of favorite places in my life, but one that sticks out in a real good memory. If you got Google Earth, you can find this place on Google Earth. It's called Brooklyn, Washington. Brooklyn, not New York, but Washington. If you look on the map just below Olympia, you see a town called Chehalis. Chehalis, if you go west of Chehalis towards the ocean, up over that ridge in there, you'll find Brooklyn. You may even type it up there in Google Earth and it may take you to Brooklyn. Now in Brooklyn, it's a logging town that has almost no population. Back in them days, maybe 100 people that lived in Brooklyn. But it was the biggest trees you've ever seen in your life there in Brooklyn. And it had a bar. And this bar, it had a running water spittoon. The law in the early years, you could not sit at a bar. You could only stand at a bar. And you had a footrest there by the spittoon, which was a running water stainless steel trough. And you'd spit your skull tobacco right down in that trough. And that running water took it out to the creek and it went on down to wherever it went. But in Brooklyn, was like going back 100 years in time. All the men, the floors was all tore up from the boots are called corks that has the spikes in it, that has for climbing the trees and for setting chokers and stuff like that. The corks is what they wore. And the signs usually in almost all of your bars over the 100 years of walking in and out there with their corks on. Oh, wow. Okay, buddy. Yeah, I can see it. All right, buddy. With that, we'll say God bless you. And please come back and join me at another time. And um, we're going to try to change your attitude. Love you, man. Love all of you. God bless.